Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. So to kick things off, I'm back home here from camping, and I've also got a new audio setup. So I've swapped out my Focusrite Scarlett Solo, which I was having some issues with, some crackling and popping issues with, at least I think it was this thing. And I've switched over to a Volt 176 as per a bunch of people's recommendations. At this point in time, I do have the vintage filter and compressor turned on, and I'll turn that off next and let me know how it sounds. So now I've turned off the vintage mode and compressor, and I don't know if there's going to be any difference whatsoever in the audio. A lot of people have much more trained ears than I do. Alternatively, I could just switch to my other mic altogether. And for reference, here's the DJI Mic 2, which I use when I'm outdoors, camping, and on the go. I mean, it's a very small, very portable mic, and I think it works fantastically well for those outdoor conditions. Inside the gaming room, I don't necessarily think so. I think it picks up quite a bit of noise. But anyways, here, let me know your thoughts about all three situations in the comments below. And the only reason I'm asking here is because I value your opinion. I mean, every day you guys watch these videos, and well, I want to deliver the best quality possible. So with that being said, regardless of the audio solution, I'm hoping that the audio issues from my home have been fixed and everything is now going to be a-okay. If not, I'll have to go outside and go camping again and just record out there permanently. Anyways, here, first up on the docket, we're talking about Sega's Saturn emulation with Ymir. And Ymir just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, Ymir version 0.1.7 is the latest update, and I would say that this is a real big update for this emulator. I mean, they say here, this version brings the customary set of bug fixes along with a bunch of new features, including support for the arcade racer and mission stick peripherals, the ability to take raw screenshots, new video options to improve frame pacing in windowed mode, and make better use of high refresh rates while synchronizing video, a global exception handler to catch unexpected emulator crashes, and even the debugger got upgrades. And on top of that, because yes, there's even more, they say here that this version also brings overall performance improvements by using OS-specific features for manual reset events, as well as improving SH2 sleep instruction handling. The performance uplift varies a lot between games and systems, with some seeing as much as 10% more performance. And also, on top of that, macOS builds are now universal, supporting both Apple Silicon and Intel-based systems in one library. And there's also support now for FreeBSD builds. On a side note here, and this is worth pointing out, it's highlighted here, they've marked it as important, and I would agree with them. They say save state files created by any stable release are guaranteed to be forwards compatible with any future version of Ymir, both stable and nightly. However, and this is big, save state files created by nightlies have no such guarantee. Save state files are not backwards compatible. So this version we're talking about is a stable version 0.1.7, but they do have nightly builds now available if you wanted to be on the cutting edge of things. If you are curious about Ymir and wanted to learn more about it, like everything we talk about, links are in the description below right at the bottom. I don't hide my sources. Now, taking a look here at the compatibility improvements, I mean, there's more games that work with this, there's more games that are compatible. This emulator is improving in leaps and bounds. It's 100% free and also open source. And speaking about free and open source, but arguably not an emulator, next up here we're talking about Xbox and Xbox 360 emulation with Xanite. Now, we've talked about Xanite in the past. The last time we talked about this one, they were teasing the release of version 0.1. And it seems they have released version 0.1. So at the time of filming, Xanite version 0.1 is the latest update. If we take a look over on their GitHub, we covered this one before, and it seems they've stuck the .zip file in there. Inside that .zip file is a debug APK. My advice here is to completely avoid this one at all costs. I do not believe that this is real. I mean, this is my opinion, but based on what I've seen, and what I've seen is nothing from Xanite. I haven't seen any gameplay examples. I haven't seen any footage of really anything up and running by random people testing this out. What I have seen, though, are a lot of examples of questionable activity. This person's post here on Reddit Emulation on Android basically sums up how I think about this emulator right now. So Xanite should be called Scamite. I mean, that could be a hot take. I could be completely wrong about that, but I don't think so. Based on what I'm seeing here, nothing is adding up. We've talked about this stuff in the past, and one of the biggest questions I had going into it is how they're going to manage Xbox and Xbox 360 emulation all in one. I mean, even on PC, we don't even have that. We've got Xemu for Xbox and Xenia or even Xenia Canary for Xbox 360. This is just, it's very weird overall. And basically what I'm seeing here is, I don't know if they're going for clout or going for popularity or what they're trying to do here. But nothing is adding up and nothing is making sense. My only guess here, and it's probably the correct guess, they've got a Patreon, and I'm assuming they're going to try to funnel people into the Patreon to support the emulator and maybe release test builds over on Patreon. Right now they're making $12.35 a month. And for reference here, I believe in a previous video I used the word shenanigans when it came to this first release. And although I believe that this emulator wasn't the real deal at all, I was at least willing to give it a watch and listen to see if anything fruitful came out of it. And it turns out I'm calling shenanigans here with version 0.1. I mean, in version 0.1, they say here's what you can expect in this release. You can now play classic Xbox games right on your Android phone. And based on everything I've seen so far, version 0.1 is basically nothing and no games work. And they even say here as well to contradict themselves. Just now, Emulator Alpha and Just Test UI, they will be fixed in 0.2 and working. But moving forward, who knows, maybe Xanite pulls a 180 here and produces something that kinda maybe works. I'm highly doubtful about this one. I'm writing Xanite off as a complete fake scam app. Let me know your thoughts. And speaking about stuff on Android, next up here we're moving from something fake to something super real and something a lot of people seem to be excited about. And that is CHDroid or CHDroid or subscribe to Mr. Sujano depending on how you wanted to pronounce that. Anyway, CHDroid is, it's new, and if you're a fan of CHD files or decompressing CHD files, this may be up your alley. In my opinion here, this is a very convenient app, and they say CHDroid is the ultimate tool for converting your game ROMs into the highly compressed CHD. Compressed hunks of data or something else. I can't quite put my finger on it. Anyways, format directly from your Android device. And you can do a whole lot in this one. This app is 100% free, although there are ads. So let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. But I'm assuming if you are on mobile, it's going to be far more convenient to use an app like CHDroid as opposed to CHDman. And speaking about operating systems, switching from Android to Windows here, we're talking about Windows 10. That was a really bad transition. Anyways, we're taking a look here at a brand new lawsuit where Microsoft is being sued for discontinuing Windows 10 support. And this one to me is super interesting. And listen to this as well. The plaintiff says that Microsoft's tactic of forced obsolescence is an attempt to monopolize the generative AI market. If you are interested in reading up about this one, again, like everything we talk about, links are in the description below. Based on what I'm seeing here, I think that this lawsuit may have some merit and may actually challenge Microsoft. But I am wondering about the person filing the lawsuit and if they can afford to take on Microsoft in a lawsuit. Anyways, they say here, with only 3 months until support ends for Windows 10, it is likely that many millions of users will not buy new devices or pay for extended support. These users, some of whom are businesses storing sensitive consumer data, will be at a heightened risk of a cyber attack or other data security incident, a reality which Microsoft is well aware. They then go on to say, in other words, Microsoft's long-term business strategy to secure market dominance will have the effect of jeopardizing data security, not only for Microsoft's customers, but also of persons who may not use Microsoft's products at all. And on a side note, something else to possibly factor in is the waste component, the landfill component to all of this. Because the article says, according to one market analyst writing in 2023, Microsoft's shift away from Windows 10 will lead to millions of customers to buy new devices and throw out their old ones, as many as 240 million PCs to the landfill. If these were all folded laptops stacked on top of one another, they would make a pile of 600 kilometers taller than the moon. Now, I'm not going to lie here. I am very curious to see what happens with this lawsuit moving forward and wondering if it makes it to court and if the courts actually side on behalf of the person going against Microsoft. And speaking about interesting stuff, next up here, we're talking about the Gear family system of emulators. So Gear Boy, which is for Game Boy and Game Boy Color, Gear Coleco for the ColecoVision, Gear Graphics for the TurboGrafx, SuperGrafx PC Engine, as well as Gear System for the Sega Master System and Game Gear and SG-1000 have all received pretty much the exact same updates. So with the latest update to all of these, there's a whole bunch of bug fixes. They've improved game controller selection, updated game controller database, improved full screen mode in Mac, and improved mouse hiding behavior, and even more. And the Gear family system of emulators is available for Windows, Linux, Mac, and also in RetroArch. And speaking about stuff being available, next up here we're talking about the Mario Kart 64 port to the Sega Dreamcast. And listen to this announcement. She's done. Mario Kart 64 for the Sega Dreamcast is officially ready for public consumption. Now, this person has a 6-minute video of it in action over on Twitter, and if you're interested and wanted to learn more about it, again, like everything we talk about, links are in the description below. I guess here you can also save and load ghost files from the VMU. Next up here, we're shifting from something free to something not free. Well, not free by a wide margin. If you're thinking about live service games and the future of them, this is a prime example, I would say, as to why live service games are probably not going anywhere. It's being reported here that someone spent $32,000 on NBA 2K25. In fact, they spent more than $32,000. I believe they say the full figure here is $32,831.68. That is a lot to pay in one single game that may not be even supported in a few years. Now, if you are familiar with free-to-play games, gacha games, as well as live service games, spending $32,000 within a game is not necessarily unusual, not unheard of. Is it rare? I would say absolutely yes, but at the same time, I mean, I've seen reports of people spending a whole bunch of money in-game, and this is kind of par for the course. I would say not the average person is going to spend $32K in a game, but at the same time, there are people, obviously, that are. In my opinion here, stuff like this is another example of why free-to-play games and live service games and season passes and all of the DLC and all of that stuff are probably not going to go anywhere and probably only going to get worse as time goes on. And speaking about getting worse as time goes on, next up here we're talking about Battlefield 6 and EA and the cheating situation. It appears that more and more people are trying to cheat in Battlefield 6. I'm curious to know the amount of people who actually get through. But it's being reported here that EA's Javelin has blocked 330 cheat attempts in Battlefield 6 in just 2 days, and like 100,000 or so before the beta was even live. Now, we've talked about this stuff in previous videos, as well as the arguably super invasive measures that EA or Battlefield 6 is taking, like the kernel level stuff and the TPM stuff and all of that. Anyways, it's being reported now that Battlefield 6 is telling PC players to uninstall Valorant because of this anti-cheat stuff. So based on my understanding, fortunately at this point in time, the issue seems to be limited to just Riot's Valorant. I guess the battle of the super invasive anti-cheats will continue on here. I don't know if this will be fixed. I'm hoping it will. I'm assuming it will be. But if you are playing Battlefield 6 and you have Valorant installed, it may be a good idea to uninstall it. So here's the message popping up from Battlefield 6 that people are reporting. Security violation. The application has failed to start due to a general software incompatibility. Please uninstall the conflicting software or adjust its settings. Valorant. But moving on from that, and next up we're talking about some Linux stuff, and if you're a fan of Debian and like the latest and greatest in things, well, Debian 13 Trixie has just been released. This is obviously a big release for Debian, and it ships with Linux kernel 6.12 LTS. There are a bunch of different desktop environments available. They say there's over 14,100 new packages for a total count of 69,830 packages. On top of that, Debian 13 now supports 64-bit RISC-V architecture. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Next up here, if you're a fan of the Super Nintendo and a fan of ROM hacks, you might be a fan of this here. This to me is a super interesting ROM hack titled Super Mario Bros. 3 Level Design Contest. So version 1.02 of this ROM hack has just released, and if you're unfamiliar with it, they say here Super Mario Bros. 3 Level Design Contest is a compilation of levels from 2023 presented by SMW Central. It includes 30 entries along with extra levels that can be played in any order. The first 4 tiers are unlocked from the start. To access Tier 5, the player needs to collect 4 keys from the earlier tiers. On top of that, this ROM hack has a warning to it. They say a warning to completionists, casual players, or anyone attempting a full playthrough. Many stages are extremely lengthy, highly challenging, and difficult to navigate. Proceed at your own risk. Now, full details of this one are up on romhacking.net. There's also brand new game mechanics, items, and minor enemy AI edits, and even more. This to me looks super interesting and may present a brand new challenge and a brand new spin on Super Mario World. And speaking about new spins on things, next up we're talking about the upcoming Google Pixel Watch 4. Now, from my understanding, this is set to be unveiled on August 20th. But specs and a lot of things have already leaked, and it looks to be very impressive compared to the Google Pixel Watch 3. So if you are in the market for a new Pixel Watch, it may be worth waiting until August 20th to see what's unveiled and whether or not it fits your bill. And maybe also worth waiting to see if the Pixel Watch 3 or Pixel Watch 2 go on sale. And speaking about Google and stuff being unveiled on August 20th, I believe the upcoming Pixel 10 is also going to be unveiled on the 20th here, and if you wanted to see the different color variants, Android Headlines has you covered with like 66 shots of these things. Now, I'll be honest with you, although the colors look super cool on these things, at the same time, I never normally see the color to my phones. I mean, for the record, I do have a Google Pixel 9 Pro XL. It's an all-right phone. I love the cameras on it. I'm frustrated by certain aspects of it. But at the same time here, I've got a case on this. I don't even know what the color of my phone is. I'd have to take it out of the case to even see. But who knows here? Let me know your thoughts about that one and if the color would impact your purchasing preferences. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.